So we got here Rani Sharone, musician, uh, producer. I don't know what other tags you have, but well, we'll go with
Composer.
go with musician and composer amongst many other things that you do. So, and
Yeah.
you're best known for your time with Stolen Babies and now Thrillsville.
Yeah.
Okay, so now tell me a little bit about this. Is Thrillsville something that you started more because of what's going on now, or is it just something kind of had some extra music and decided like, oh, what the hell?
Yeah. That. It was, you know, with Stolen Babies, our music is so specialized and
Yeah.
genre bending and kind of wacky
Hmm.
that we never really committed to a certain style of music. With Stolen Babies, it was kind of like no rules.
Yeah.
We can have a song that is really thrashy and crazy, and then another song that's more, cabaret influenced. But dark electronic music has always been a huge part of my life, and I
Hmm.
always try to kind of infuse that into Stolen Babies. And then, when I was just messing around with song ideas, I just felt it was time for me to just do a solo project. I wanted to sing. I wanted to, write lyrics and, craft songs that were more under the umbrella of just like industrial, goth, death rock, dark wave, just something like that. That was just a place for me to write that kind of music. So that's really how
Yeah.
Thrillsville came about. When Stolen Babies was in between tours, a few years back when we were really busy, I would just sketch out ideas. And then when, more downtime came in between scoring gigs and things like that, I just started chipping away at the songs. And little by little, I just started to have like a little catalog of music. And it was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll do this. So there was a learning curve with especially playing live, when I was just doing, little tours that I had and some local gigs. I was just playing by myself. So that was weird because missing the dynamic of a band is trippy. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing now. I'm putting all my energy into Thrillsville as well as Stolen Babies. We have music on the horizon. But yeah, that's how it all came about.
Okay. Because I was looking through your songs that you put out last year, because you had what they call a record, but then it's like every other song's like scary version.
Oh, that was a soundtrack I did for a video
Okay.
game called It's Not Scary.
Okay.
And, when it came down to the soundtrack release, it was like, well, do I want to release this as Rani Sharone or Thrillsville?
Hmm.
And, I felt that releasing it under Thrillsville was kind of the way to go.
Hmm.
It was cool to establish the brand and get the name out. And the music also fell under like some creepy soundtracky stuff,
Hmm.
and that is what I do a lot of. So yeah, I just went with Thrillsville, and yeah, so that album, it's all instrumental.
Okay.
It is a soundtrack album, but yeah, my more poppy stuff and songs, um, they're on there too. And I'm releasing an EP in December.
Oh,
Super
nice.
stoked on that. And I just released a video for The Fever, the lead single off the EP, which has just been live for a few days now. And really excited about that one. That
Okay.
came out really great, especially with, I mean, it was basically me and my director, with social distancing and stuff.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be creative with your limitations. And I mean, watching that video now, it just makes me laugh that literally two people did that, and so I think we pulled it off, and there's a lot of really special things in that video. So, it's a crazy time. It's weird. You just kind of have to adapt. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it weird? I know you're used to working with your brother, and then this
Yeah.
is the first time you're working without your brother. So, being that you guys are twins, was there ever a point, even though this is your music,
Yeah.
There's a little bit of you're like, there's something missing, but then you're like, oh wait, this.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I included him in the
Oh,
EP. And it's funny because doing all this stuff by myself, all the programming, playing all the instruments, you know, the production with Thrillsville, it's really easy to just be like in this vacuum where like I was saying about playing live, you're missing the dynamic, you know, with Stolen Babies, ideas would form out of us just jamming and being in a room together and vibing with each other. But, you know, with Thrillsville, I'm not doing that. Everything's like pre-composed. I'm programming everything. And with this EP, I had an opportunity to go back to some previous music that I released when I first came out in 2017 as Thrillsville. And that was a good opportunity for me to say, you know what, those songs are good. My production has grown, my vision has grown. So I want to have live drums.
yeah.
So I actually had Gil play on one of my tracks that's going to be on the EP, The Caller. And that was awesome. I mean, we've been working together actually a lot throughout this whole pandemic.
Yeah.
We've gotten gigs, rhythm section session stuff where we'd be playing bass and drums on soundtracks and other people's projects. So I was going over to our studio so much that it just made sense. It was like, hey, you know what? We got the kit mic'd up already. Everything's sounding great and ready to go. You know, lay down some drums on one of my songs. So he did. And it's funny because that sparked a whole conversation because Dominique from Stolen Babies as well, she's on singing backup on 4 of the 5 songs on the EP. And that's completely changed how I see Thrillsville. And when I do play live again, I want it to be as a 3-piece. I don't want to be up there alone. If I absolutely had to, I would. But just having Gil a part of the music and bringing that to life with live drums, and then Dominique as well, it's just such an important thing for me. And we're all so close. And the connection we have with Stolen Babies and, you know, them being able to be a part of Thrillsville too is pretty cool. So it's kind of opening up where I'm going with my future stuff as well.
Cool.
I definitely want Gil to be playing on more of my stuff. But yeah, it is weird, you know, getting a breather when I'm so used to collaborating and working with him all the time. But it didn't last long because I ended up going back to him to say my stuff. So yeah.
You can't be far apart very long. So.
That's right.
I was wondering about that because most twins always threaten to say like, I'm going to do this myself, but that threat doesn't last very long.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know other twins, so I don't really know how it is with them. But, you know, with us, we don't ever stray too far. You know, even when Gil was at his busiest, you know, I mean, he's always busy doing session work and playing with other people. But, you know, with Dillinger and Manson, you know, at the height of his touring when he was basically just gone more than he was in town, you know, that was another thing. It was just kind of another reason for me to focus on my stuff because, yeah, it's hard to depend on someone who's gone all the time. But again, you know, it also is a nice palate cleanser. You know, we could get sick of each other really quickly and really easily. Yeah. So it's nice for some time to go by, and then it's kind of like, hey, let's do this again. And that energy I feel is really in the music. So yeah, you know, we're always doing things together.
Okay. So other than Thrillsville and Stolen Babies, these days, what other things keeps you busy? Is it more the session work or more the scoring or what?
Both. I mean, I have to say I'm really lucky that I have been consistently busy throughout this whole pandemic. I do get a lot of session work where I'm playing bass, sometimes guitar on other people's stuff. Scoring, absolutely. I do ghostwrite for some other composers.
Oh, nice.
And I can't say anything about that because of NDA stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of boring when it comes to getting answers from me in that regard. But yeah, you know, it's pretty much music full time, just nonstop. And you know, I have an animation project coming up that I'm about to score, which I'm looking forward to. Okay. And that's I wear a lot of different hats and write a lot of different kinds of music. So it keeps things really interesting, you know, wrapping up this EP and being so absorbed in the mixing and listening to my stuff constantly and the kind of music that it is. Now I have to turn around and write something completely full orchestral and, you know, for that project, this animation gig, and it's nice. I'm always keeping it interesting and never repeating myself, just always writing different styles of music. So yeah, mostly scoring and session work has been keeping me afloat throughout all of this, really.
Okay. Is there anything that you can talk about that's not under the NDA that you've worked on even
Yeah,
recently?
mostly when things are released, I could talk about them.
Mhm.
But I can say Gil and I played bass, some guitar. He played drums and percussion on a film score for Monster Hunter
Okay.
for the composer Paul Haslinger, and that's the Mila Jovovich movie that's coming out.
Okay.
I think in the spring it got pushed to.
Okay.
So that was awesome because I also got to write some riffs for that, which was really killer. I mean, when another composer trusts you with your artistic sensibilities and what you could bring to the table, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm always humbled by that when bigger composers like kind of trust me to come into their world and do stuff. Um, so what else? What can I talk about? I did this animation for a music video for artist named Manila Luzon.
Okay.
She's a big drag performer,
Okay.
kind of has a huge following with the whole RuPaul Drag Race world, and that was an animated video, and the director was looking for about a minute of score leading
Okay.
up to the video. It was a really well done animation, incredible, and really great narrative. So the first minute of that I scored. That's out. Um, what else? What can I talk about? I can't really say.
Okay. No, that's cool. I mean, that works. Okay. So I guess we can backtrack a little bit back to the origins of Ronnie Sharone, how you came into this wonderful world called the music business. So
Yeah.
a little bit about how you found your way into this wild world. And
It almost felt like I didn't see doing anything else.
Mhm.
You know, back to Gil and I, it's hard to talk about my story without mentioning him as well. I mean, when we were maybe 11 or 12, um, we just kind of both got bit with the we want to be in a band, we want to play instruments kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you know, he gravitated towards the drums instantly, just like I want to play the drums. You know, I don't have a drum set, but I want to play the drums, and I wanted to play guitar. Really, was my first love.
Yeah.
And then in orchestra, I think when I was in 6th grade, I was playing trombone. That was my first instrument. And in the corner of the room, there was an upright bass.
Okay.
And I looked at the teacher and I said, "Hey, I want to play that, whatever that instrument is." And this thing was busted. I mean, the bridge wasn't there, strings were loose. And he just kind of looked at me and he was like, "Oh, you that's not available. That's not an option."
Hmm.
But little did I know that at the time that it was an acoustic bass, a real
Ah.
acoustic version of an electric bass. So I kind of changed my mind on pursuing guitar and was like, all right, I want to play bass, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, to make a long story short, I was always juggling between guitar and bass, you know, when we were, I think, 12. Yeah, for that birthday or going into 13, our birthday, our parents got us instruments, our first instruments, and it was pretty awesome how quickly we took to it.
Okay.
Um, we had like no social life. I mean, we literally just jammed every day. We played and played and played, and you know, just really inspired by the bands and musicians. I mean, nothing to us was off the table as far as what we could listen to. We absorbed everything. I mean,
Yeah.
jazz, fusion, metal, punk, funk was huge. So just in a given day, we'd be listening to Primus and Fishbone and Mr. Bungle, and then we're listening to Chick Corea and Mahavishnu Orchestra, and what else was I saying? Chick Corea Electric Band, and just like all of this stuff made us dig deeper into what inspired these guys we were really digging.
Yeah.
So, then we got really into John Zorn. We got really into just traditional jazz, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Charles Mingus, you name it. We were just absorbing all this stuff. Then we ended up going to an arts high school, where I was playing in the jazz band and orchestra. So again, I'm just like absorbing all of this music. I took for granted classical music, because I just kind of saw it as 18th century, 19th century music, the go-tos.
Yeah.
Mozart, Beethoven, Haydn, Brahms, Tchaikovsky, all of that was cool and I liked it. But in my senior year of high school, I was introduced to 20th century classical music. Stravinsky, Shostakovich, Bartok, Prokofiev, you name it. And that for me was a game changer.
Yeah.
Because, I never really sat down and was like, okay, I want to be a composer. Ever since I picked up my bass, I was always writing songs.
Yeah.
And in high school, we had our band together that preceded Stolen Babies. So I was always writing, but when I heard this symphonic music, that was from 20th century, early 1900s and more recent, it blew me away. And that's when I really was like, I want to know how that stuff is put together. I want to write that kind of music.
Yeah.
So that's when things really changed for me, senior year of high school. So now it was like, all right, I don't just want to be in a band and write songs, but now I want to write orchestral music. I want to know how to write for a string quartet, for, piano trio, whatever. So to make a long story short, that's kind of it. Then professionally, right out of high school, Gil and I just kind of landed gigs. I was scoring commercials, graduating high school. I was scoring Nike commercials, Miller Genuine Draft commercials. And it was like, you're going to pay me how much? To write 30 seconds of music for a national TV spot. It was like, okay, so we just invested back in ourselves. We were like, all right, cool. This is like turning into stuff. So basically paid for our studio, to this day, like what we use now and where we're at. And from there, it was just kind of like, okay, well, I guess I have to start telling people I'm a composer now and I want to, write music for their movies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of really how it happened. It just all felt right and very down this organic path. I mean, I've taken a lot of detours. Because also out of high school, I was doing something completely different. I was working at a special effects shop as a machinist. So I was doing animatronics and stop motion animation armatures, which was another passion in, just special effects, makeup, horror movies, all of that, like kind of dictated where my interests went. And now I'm writing the kind of music I always dreamed of writing, and it's pretty cool.
Sounds like you can make your own sci-fi movie if you want. You had a whole year to do it.
It's funny. I mean, that's kind of what the Fever, I don't know if you saw my video, but that's kind of how I felt with the Fever video. I collaborated with my good friend Precious Child, and this was the most hands-on conceptually I've ever been with the video. I have 3 live action videos that I kind of just handed off and just trusted the vision of the director, and just kind of went along with it. This one was really different. Lyrically, what inspired the Fever was a Twilight Zone episode, also called The Fever.
Yeah.
And it's basically about this guy who wins a trip with his wife to Las Vegas and hates it, just absolutely hates being around gambling, and it's like the worst to him. The worst of humanity gambles and whatever. But of course, in the Twilight Zone, be careful what you think, because you could turn into it. So this guy ends up getting a taste of gambling and playing this one machine that just kind of torments him until his demise. So the concept for that video, that loosely I took that narrative for the Fever video, and I made some props for it. You know, conceptually, it was a lot of fun to go through. So yeah, you're not far off from saying that. I mean, it's the closest I've ever been to being involved in a short film, like conceptualizing and seeing it through from start to finish. But it's a music video, and ever since that, I've had that bug where I was even talking to my manager, and I was like, that was so similar to just like shooting a film.
Yeah.
That who knows? There could be a Thrillsville short film or something in my near future. You never know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The way you work, I mean, nothing surprises me. So.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
thanks.
So. And speaking of session work, I'm trying to think back, like, what's the first thing I've heard of you guys? I mean, your brother is more public about who he plays with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he likes to post, like, see me on tour with blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he gets around.
Yeah. You, I guess if you are doing it, yeah, but I guess you're more scoring, so it's not like we can just come by the studio and check in on you every so often. But
yeah,
I think the first thing, the name that pops out to me that I've seen both you guys play with was Puscifer in the very beginning.
Yeah.
So how did you land that gig, considering that Maynard's not the kind of guy that goes, hey, do you want to play in my band? So
Yeah, that was really amazing. I still look back on that time with just I'm still just blown away by how all that came together and just how what a magical time that was. But to make a long story short, Matt Mitchell, who produces and writes with Puscifer at the time, was working with the Nine Inch Nails camp.
Okay.
And was also dabbling in what would become Puscifer's first album, V's for Vagina.
Yeah.
And Stolen Babies was playing a lot in town in that time. We had a gig at the Knitting Factory, and a buddy of Gil's who was drum teching for Nine Inch Nails, came out to the show and brought Matt. And I guess that was his first time seeing us or being aware of who we are. But a few days, I remember, after that Knitting Factory show, in the MySpace days, we got a message from Matt, and he reached out and said, hey, I'm working with Maynard, and I wanted to have you guys on a couple tracks.
Okay.
Are you available? You know, that kind of thing. And we were just like, fucking A, of course. You know, are you kidding? I mean, I remember the message being specifically asking for fretless bass on a track and Gil to do some brushes for a down-tempo remix of a song.
Okay.
And when we got to the studio, I ended up playing on 6 or 7 tunes, which was pretty amazing. I think I played bass on 6 songs and a baritone guitar on 1.
Okay.
So it was either 6 total or 7, I don't remember. But yeah, that was amazing. And Gil and I did that with Matt in a studio in North Hollywood. And Maynard would just kind of like phone in, you know, we just kind of like be in touch throughout the day of just how things were going. And Matt was giving him progress reports, but we still didn't meet Maynard. And we were just kind of like, so, you know, what's Maynard going to do with this stuff? Is it going to be live? Is it going to just be this album? What's up, you know? And it was really kind of like, that's way too soon to talk about, you know, just stand by, that kind of thing. But after some time went by, we got an email from Maynard, and he was like, hey, I'm going to be in LA. I want to meet up with you guys at your studio with Johnny Polanski, the guitarist of Puscifer at the time. And let's jam. I have some ideas, but I want to just see if you guys have chemistry and that kind of thing. And it was funny because we were late. We were late to our studio. So when we pulled up, we see Maynard and Johnny standing in front of our gate, and we just felt so bad. We were like, okay, great first impression.
Yeah.
But luckily, Maynard was super cool, and he didn't just say fuck off. But we got out of the car, and we were just like, dude, hey, what's up? Welcome. So we started jamming, and it was really cool, you know, to just kind of like riff off of songs that we played on in the album, but he didn't want to hear the same versions. He was like, yeah, just take that idea, but jam on it, see what you do.
Yeah.
And after a few hours of that, he was just like, okay, cool, I think this is going to work. And then that led to another email where he just said, first Puscifer shows, you know, Las Vegas at the Palms. And
Yeah.
it's going to be 3 nights. It's going to be one night with this incarnation, Ronnie and Gil on rhythm section. This night, Matt and Jeff on rhythm section.
Yeah.
Third night, a mix of everybody.
Okay.
So, wow, that was just a magical time. I mean, being in Vegas, not even with the whole crew, just everybody was amazing. We all got along. It was so fun. But Tim Alexander from Primus, of course, I mean, when he walked in the room at one of those first rehearsals, I was just like, dude, I don't think you realize how big of an influence Primus was on Gil and I.
Yeah.
And it was funny because Maynard knew what a big Les kind of fanboy I was, and you know that I could play like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. So when Tim walked in the room, Maynard was like, "Play a Primus song, play a Primus song." And I didn't know Tim. I didn't know his personality. I didn't know if he was going to think I was a douchebag.
Yeah.
But immediately when Tim walks in, we start playing John the Fisherman.
Oh wow.
Bill just counts off the song, and we just went into it. And it was hilarious because Tim just goes, the first time I'm meeting him, he just goes, "You sound like Les." that was just like the pinnacle of compliments. So he was a really good sport that we did that. And it was a lot of fun. But I mean, even being backstage in Vegas, when we would, you know, talk about Primus and really have that time with him to just talk about Sailing the Seas of Cheese and when MTV was cool.
Yeah.
How Primus was on spring break. You know what I mean? It's like, gee, let's just get the weirdest fucking band on the planet right now to play like the spring break.
Yeah.
And we talked about that show specifically and just how humble he was. And he didn't even realize their magnitude and their influence.
Yeah.
So we were just like, no, you guys blew our world wide open. I mean, Frizzle Fry, I could just go on tangents talking about Primus and our influences, but to go back to Puscifer, yeah, it was a really fun, wild ride. And even though the band stayed a certain lineup for a while, we were always included on, you know, in the EP that followed the album, then the live. Well, no, the EP has the live version of Mama Said, which is really amazing because that's me, Maynard, Gil, Tim, and Johnny. That's the band on that recording. Then Conditions of My Parole was really cool. Matt hit us up to play on a track. Then I ended up doing a remix for the All Remixed Up. And my dog is on the cover of that album, which was awesome. I think I was more excited about that, Proud Dog Dad, than the fact that I had a remix on that. But no, that was really amazing too. So yeah, you know, it's just been the gift that keeps giving because we've met a lot of really amazing people through the Puscifer camp that we continue to, you know, play with.
Okay. Well, the premise of this channel is about music entrepreneurship, more about how to well, I call it reinventing the hustle, and how musicians turn this into more than just like, hey, do you want to come in and jam, and making it a business. And you've definitely done that, and you probably made this more of a business even before you ever thought about do with a record deal. So was it weird when you finally, with Stolen Babies, you're offered a distribution deal with a label, and then you've been doing this all yourself, and then you have to change your thought process from, okay, we've been doing it all ourselves, and now it's like somebody else is going to get involved? And
great question. I mean, we've always been very, very protective of what we do. We've always heard the stories of, oh, don't sign to a label, this and that, they're going to change your sound, and you know, all this stuff. And that never happened. I mean, we've always been really true to our sound, and whoever we let in on the business side of things really had to get us.
Hmm.
So, Gil pretty much was, before we got involved with a bigger management company, Gil was always the one to handle the day-to-day and the business side of things. He
Okay.
enjoyed it. Um, so when our first album came out, then the End Records came about and was, vibing on us. And, we liked Andreas, the owner of the label, and he was working with, already getting the ball rolling with Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum,
Yeah.
who we were really good friends with. And we were recording our album with Dan Rathbun, the bass player of Sleepy Time. We
Mhm.
basically relocated. We were living in Oakland recording that album, and we would be sending Andreas mixes
Mhm.
throughout the process. And, it was just a really good vibe. And the deal was right, and it made sense. It was like, yes, we have been doing this for a really long time on our own. Maybe it's time we let someone else step in. We just kind of relinquish that power to somebody else and just trust the process.
Yeah.
And that was, again, a really magical time when Squabbles came out. It was just incredible. We ended up getting an incredible booking agent, a great management team. We were getting on a lot of killer tours. So we were literally living the dream.
Yeah.
Um, Things changed since then, business wise, of course. Uh, Everything has been turned into such a DIY friendly environment these days.
Yeah.
And I know that's what your channel is focusing on. So, whatever experience or knowledge I can impart, just talking about that, I mean, I'm learning it every day. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's the Wild West. You literally learning new things every day. It's like, oh, wait a minute, now I need to do what to my YouTube videos? I need to like
Yeah.
team up with, this other channel and this and that. And it's like, there's no rules, and things are getting revealed literally on a daily basis. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I answered your question or not about teaming up with someone else to release your stuff, but record labels can be really helpful. In
Mhm.
my experience, I've seen it. I know what they can do. As an independent artist with Thrillsville, where I'm really doing everything with a small team, um, it's a different world,
Yeah.
but it's more hands-on, and I like that. And I kind of like the grassroots style of just saying, you know what, I'm doing this because I love this music, and I don't expect anything. Let's just see what happens. Um, but there are so many platforms now that everybody knows about. I mean, there's
Yeah.
DistroKid, there's CD Baby, there's TuneCore. I'm lucky I have a really great distribution deal with The Orchard,
Okay.
who's through Sony. So in a lot of ways, I'm getting the benefits of being on a major label, but being independent. And we do have our own label, No Comment Records,
Okay.
um, and it's a good thing to have,
Yeah.
just on the business side of things. If someone digs what I'm doing and wants to step in and help me out, then I would take it from there. Your opportunity is only as good as the deal.
Yeah.
So, if someone gets a very pro artist deal and, it's a great opportunity, then yeah, dive into it. But if you want to have someone else coming in saying, okay, well, we own your masters, we want this much, blah, 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 well, then reconsider that. Why
Yeah.
do you need them? Promo is a big thing. And that oftentimes is what separates major label acts to independent artists. And, not everybody has $15,000 to throw at promo.
Yeah.
Not everybody has $5,000 to throw at promo, and so when a label can say, hey, we can do this for you, but we're going to need to recoup this or whatever, it may sound like a great thing until once you're finally generating income, you do have to pay it back.
Yeah.
So I'm just really doing it independently right now because I can.
Mhm.
And I mean, if there's any artists out there who are just kind of emerging or starting or whatever, I would definitely say, do as much as you can by yourself until it becomes apparent that you need someone else with a bigger reach to help out.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I know you're a busy guy, so when it comes to like some of the platforms like Twitch or YouTube, do you do any of that to just kind of talk to fans? That's something that
I
kind of base it on time.
I mean, I haven't because YouTube, yes, I have a YouTube channel and I'm not always putting, content on there because I'm not like a weekly YouTuber or something.
Yeah.
I just have the channel to be my home base for my videos. So they could be months apart when I post
Yeah.
something. So YouTube is just kind of my go-to for telling people where to go see my videos. Twitch is interesting because there has been questions, people do ask me, am I going to do a live stream or whatever? And I do go on Twitch for, I watch some friends DJ. I stream a lot of the protests and stuff, what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm aware of Twitch and I'm aware of the interface and what people can do and how they can interact with you. Again, going back to playing live, I really do want Gil and Dominique to be a part of whenever I do play live next.
Okay.
So we have been talking about doing a Twitch stream,
Oh, nice.
maybe next time Dominique is in town, if we can logistically get it together. Because I would love to. I would love
Yeah.
to perform and do something interesting where, fans can feel like they're at a concert, but it's the next best thing to being at a concert because of
Yeah.
the times we're living in right now. So I'm aware of those. I do have to be, I mean, I'm not the type of artist that is constantly interacting in a way where it's like videos throughout the day and talk. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not my style.
Yeah.
I don't do that. Um, part of the adapting is, well, how can I keep people's interest in a time where playing live isn't possible?
Yeah.
So, when I am thinking about creating content or, now I have an EP coming out in December and this fancy new video that's out. So yeah, I've been more active because I do want eyes on it. I'm really proud of it and
Yeah.
I would love it for people to check it out. So I'm more active on social media, but I'm definitely not a model social media person.
Yeah.
There are others who are way more hands-on and interactive. I mean, Twitter, I'm barely on it. Instagram is kind of my social media of choice because I do like that it's visual and yeah.
Hey, you're plenty on there, so I was just wondering if you do it, but then again, it's like between what you do musically and that, then it's kind of like, so when do we scrape in a few hours of sleep? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't sleep much, and when I do, it's normally this time.
yeah,
I mean, I'm on full on vampire hours. It's just kind of the way I am. I've always been a total insomniac, and the nighttime is just a magical time for me. It's when I do pretty much the bulk of my writing. Um, so I don't even really go to sleep until the sun comes up.
ah,
Um, and yeah, I'm in a weird transition decompression period now because it's like a whirlwind when you're getting something that you've been working on for a long time finished. It's
yeah,
just like, geez, there's this void that a void is where that project was.
yeah,
That would be my day. Okay, I'm going to be working on this tonight and this and that and whatever. And it's like, now that it's done, um, I'm just kind of decompressing a little bit before diving into my next thing that I'm about to do. And um, it's exciting. So I am one of the lucky ones. I do have a lot of artist friends, whether they're more songwriter artists and then film composer, TV composer friends, and I see the way this whole thing has been affecting them, and it's been nice getting some really positive feedback from some of those friends where they're like, wow, you're really inspiring me. Like, I don't know how you're staying so busy throughout this. I'm just so fucking depressed I don't even want to like do anything.
Yeah.
But I'm the opposite because I can't. I have to fully immerse myself into what I'm doing, with writing, producing, whatever. It's just like eh, it really is a form of therapy. It's not just a job, you know. I'm not just a work for hire person. Music is just, I need to have it
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah, definitely. And earlier you said you have stolen babies on the way, or
Yeah. Yeah. Well, back in June or July, I want to say we dropped a new song,
yeah,
which was our first new music in, I don't even know, 8 years or something. I think I saw some fans say.
yeah,
So yeah, we've been working on this really ambitious narrative and concept album with where we even got the name Stolen Babies from. And the song that we released is called Stolen Babies, and hopefully that
okay,
kind of answers people's questions on why we even, when we became Stolen Babies, why we called ourselves that. I mean, we were a really theatrical band. We performed basically little musicals on stage. We had actors, we had costumes. The music was really cartoony. It told a story, and we had a song cycle called Stolen Babies.
okay,
That was about 4 or 5 songs encompassing this Stolen Babies narrative. And we're revisiting that material. So the song that we put out, we were so happy to get it out, and the response that we've been getting has been great. Of course, one song is never enough, so everybody wants to hear more.
yeah,
But you know, logistically, we're chipping away at it. We're not looking at it as let's get the album done. We're just doing song at a time. The lyric video for that song, Stolen Babies, we're about to release pretty soon. That will also kind of answer some questions on what we've been trying to get off the ground. I mean, it's basically a cartoon.
okay,
We've got full animation and characters in this world that Dominique's created, and you know, we've created musically, and it's really sweet. So she was just in town a couple weeks ago,
okay,
and we got a lot of recording done. So we're just going to keep chipping away at it and releasing songs as they're done.
okay. She's what, like in Northern California or
Yeah,
something?
she's in the Bay Area. Yeah, Oakland.
Okay. Any chance you're gonna do like a Thrillsville versus Stolen Babies, like a remix wars record or something?
Well, it's funny you say that because 2 of the songs on my EP, the Thrillsville EP coming up, are reworks of Stolen Baby songs.
Oh, okay,
So yeah, so Second Sleep and So Close, they're both Stolen Baby songs that I felt really could fit into the Thrillsville world,
okay,
sonically speaking. And So Close is almost, I don't want to say exact, but it's just it's a more closer to the original version. But I'm singing, and
okay,
there's some surprises on there. I mean, it's not totally the same. The form is a little different. Dominique singing back up on it. Second Sleep, I completely reworked.
okay,
That the Stolen Babies version is a real kind of halftimey, you know, kind of feel, and I just made it a total dance tune, which was
okay,
fun because I was just like, let's do. You know, I actually have to say I was inspired by Dance with the Dead with that decision. They're a really cool band, and I opened for them
okay,
um, in Denver a couple of years ago, and I was just, you know, standing in the back of the room at the merch table watching their set, and I really loved how they remixed Metallica songs, Motley Crue songs, whatever, and totally turned them into these EDM bangers, you know, but with the original vocals
yeah,
and the guitar riffs, of course. Like all the good recognizable stuff you want to hear is there, but it's totally dance music.
yeah,
And I have to say that that's really what made me say, you know what, I could do that kind of a thing to Second Sleep. So there is already that kind of Stolen Babies versus Thrillsville, but yeah, unfortunately, I wanted to play live to do a Halloween show because I thought this live opportunity might come up. It unfortunately didn't pan out because of COVID, obviously.
yeah,
But that would have been really fun because that would have been Thrillsville and Stolen Baby songs
yeah,
in the set. So who knows? Maybe in the future we can do something like that, which would be a lot of fun. But yeah, our worlds are always colliding.
Yeah. So while we're on the subject, you're not going to take a Thrillsville song into Stolen Babies reinterpreted.
It's funny that you say that, because Dominique, she gets mad at me sometimes when I write a song that's not for Stolen Babies that she really, really likes.
Okay.
And when she was singing, it's, I want to say background vocals, but for the caller, it's more of almost like equal. It's almost like a duet.
Yeah.
But she was on that song and she's just like hating me. Like, dude, this needs to be a Stolen Baby song. Like, I need to work with this.
Okay.
So it's funny. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we'll just maybe take the music and morph it into a Stolen Baby song, because she really loves the vibe of this tune, or do a Stolen Babies version of it. We'll see. But yeah, that's the thing. That's been. Sometimes it's easier than not when I have an idea and I know automatically this is a Thrillsville song. I want to work with this. I want to sing on it. I want to make this mine. And then there's one that I just started working on that I thought would be a Thrillsville song, but then I turned it around and sent it to Gil and Dominique, and I said, hey, this has Stolen Babies written all over it. This needs to be a Stolen Babies track. So yeah, the process is weird. It kind of just jumps out at you. When you get it to a certain point, it kind of reveals the vibe and what makes sense. So yeah, there's a lot of new music being written for Stolen Babies, which I'm excited about. I mean, we're not the kind of band that's always super, socially interacting with our fan base, and could be to our detriment. I don't know. But we're the kind of band where we come out when we have something to say. So we're lucky that we have a lot of loyal fans who are, still into it.
Yeah. Well, that's like 80% of the scene right now, because a lot of people just didn't have time to talk, and then now they're like, well, we're not going on tour. I guess let's see what's going on Twitter. So
Exactly. I mean, people have really changed their whole MO of how they do things. So yeah, I'm still learning it every day. It's like learning about, again, Twitch and things like that. So it's cool though, because you have to adapt. You really do.
Yeah. And you said a possible live stream show might come next year if you can work it all out.
Yeah. I would love it. I would absolutely love that.
Just matter of schedules and all that.
Yeah, logistics too. I mean, it sure, we all have to be in the same room together at the same time, but I really would like to, the technical side of things. Audio, how is the audio going to be fed through the stream? Is it going to be live microphones? Is it going to be, fed into a board that's mixed? And I mean, I just saw Mr. Bungle's live stream. I don't know if you saw that, but I
saw that.
I just watched theirs, and yeah, I mean, that was really, really, really well done.
Yeah.
I actually know the room that they recorded that in.
Okay.
But that is super pro. So there are different ways, I see my friends DJ, their sets on Twitch, and it's a lot more crude, but it's there. The audio is clear. It's all good. Their backgrounds are just their room. Sometimes people have green screen backgrounds, so the backgrounds are changing environments. It could just be as simple as us at our studio with a couple cameras, and that's another thing. I want to really explore how to do it. If we had GoPros or something with different angles, can it have real-time editing where someone is choosing this camera and that camera and whatever? So yeah, if we're gonna do it, I want it to be right and I want it to be good. So that's definitely something that I'm literally like in the process of wrapping my head around.
Okay. And anything else you want to plug that you got coming up that you haven't mentioned, or?
I mean, I'm just so stoked on what I'm doing with Thrillsville and Stolen Babies as well, that those will always have my heart to the fullest, my own personal stuff, what I'm doing. Collaborations are really fun, and I'm lucky to collaborate with some really amazing people. So that's always great. But yeah, my video for The Fever is out now. Check it out. My EP drops December 4th.
Oh, cool.
That's called Say Goodbye to the Light. And I'm really proud of those 5 tunes. And I already have another 3 on deck. So I'm staying busy.
Okay. You'll be busy till like about 2027, I guess.
I hope so. I hope
Yes.
so.
All right, cool. Awesome.